Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. And we got a beer I've never reviewed. And I've had it before, but it's been a very, very long time. Old school OG whale. That would be Lost Abbey. It's their Red Poppy. This is a Flanders Red, barrel aged. It comes in at a whopping 6.5%. Barrel aged with cherries and poppy seeds. It says you want serving temp around 50 to 55. This should be spot on. What year is this? Do I get a year? It's old. I can tell you that much. I don't know if there is an actual age on here, which is kind of a bummer. But I picked this up at one of my local age beer spots. It's been sitting there for a while. Yeah, I figured, I wanted a Flanders Red. I haven't had one in a while. I have to be in the mood to have one, so I bought this, and I've been sitting on it for a couple months. And I was like, okay, we'll dive into it. And it's also, a good conversation piece to talk about Lost Abbey and breweries and whatnot. Beginning of this year, Lost Abbey. Label-wise, that's a fantastic label. Just look at that thing. Lost Abbey, announced there's... I didn't think I was going to get a pop on that sucker. Very cool. Do we get a date on the cork? No, we do not. That smells good. They announced their downsizing. Lost Abbey is one of my favorite breweries, United States breweries. I think they're very important to the conversation of what breweries became and what breweries are nowadays. And it's very, very sad that breweries like that are feeling the infinite pressure that they can't exist anymore. At the peak of their powers, I think they're doing 15,000 barrels a year now. They're cutting back. I think they're downsizing to maybe 8. They kind of left their old spot. They're kind of like co-tenants with Mother Earth Brewing, I believe. So it's kind of a sad story because such a important and seminal brewery that made such important seminal beers is just falling to the point where they just can't really do it. And it's part and parcel to the way beer functions nowadays, and also what people want to drink and the kind of beers that they make. You're talking about a barrel aged Flanders ale, red Flanders, not necessarily at everybody's top of everybody's mind, but I figured I'd pop it and just do a little kind of reminiscing while we do a little bit of a review. So like I said, I love the label. Flanders Reds have to be a specific way for me to dig on them, but this one looks very, very pretty. Almost perfectly clear, kind of what you'd expect from a Flanders ale. Kind of like this rich red mahogany color. The soft little lacing on the edge of the head. I mean, it just looks all the part of just a tart little sour jammer that hopefully has a little bit of oomph to it. Like I said, I know I've had this before, but it has to be 10 years since I've had it, which is kind of weird to even say. But it just, if I'm going to sit here and say it looks like anything, it almost looks like iced tea. A lot of powder in the iced tea, or almost like a red wine, sans take away the carbonation and whatnot. So, looks the part. Let's get a nose. Man, there's so much going on here. Just that cherry portion of the show is out of this world. Just bombastic. Again, using a word that my buddy Paul from PA Brew News loves to use a lot, but it kind of is very apt for this. Is that the sour cherries are big. That tartness, that Flanders tartness is big, but not like acidically kind of caustic. There's a big wood component to it. There's a big caramel sweetness to it. Everything here is very, very large. Again, you have to remember, 6 and change. This smells very much like a 12, 13, 14% kind of barley wine. Not something that's right around like 6%. Just so aggressive from that cherry standpoint. The cherry you impart from the sour portion of the beer show. The cherry that was added here. The poppy seeds, I gotta sit here and say, I'm smelling poppy seeds. I don't think that's going to come off as a surprise. But it is very much in a very rich, very adulty kind of, almost like liqueur-ish kind of vibe to it. I heard a cat just meow, which is kind of weird. Am I hearing things? I don't know. But yeah. So just I know it's so dumb to say it. It smells like a really big Flanders red, which is like, okay, you're going to define the definition with the word of the thing and the definition. I understand how dumb that is, but that's where it kind of sits for me. I'm just going to dive in. Cheers, y'all. Oh, man. It's delicious. I mean, you go... So, on the nose, it's so big and rich. That's where it pushes you towards it. Like, I can't believe this is 6.5%. Once you actually drink it, you know you're drinking something a little bit lower ABV. It doesn't come off as a negative, though. That's not a negative thing. This prickly acidity is the first thing you get. You know, the second you drink it, it's just like almost like pop rocky kind of prickly acidity from the beer, but nothing too crazy to the point where I think if someone was like really susceptible to heartburn, I don't think it's something that's really going to kind of just like light you on fire. Immediately followed by a mix of a soft watered down caramel in combination with those tart cherries. The tart cherries marries with the spirit portion, the barrel aged portion I show here. It says barrel aged. I don't know what barrel they use for this. I don't think it's wine. I don't think it's straight wood either. I think there is a spirit involved. I don't know if it would be bourbon. Most likely it is. It's just a soft whiskey barrel, but I would venture to guess this is put in the second, third, fourth use. And what it's giving me is these soft little, like kind of like vinous notes. That again, that's your Flanders red kind of doing its thing in combination with the barrel. But there's a really, really decent amount of wood here. When you take the yeast portion I show here, this Flanders typical kind of sour, kind of Belgian style sour yeastiness, and the bugs and things that go with it in combination with that wood, you end up with a finishing dryness that is like, just like, it stops short of being like mouth. It dries out to the portion where you want to go back immediately for another sip, but not to the point where you feel like your mouth is a desert kind of thing going on, which is the mark of a good sour. At least I think it is. There's a little bit of cheek pulling right around here, which is really fun. Yeah, and it's just like one of those things where you taste so much nuance and complexity, and you know, I don't break those words out all that often when it comes to beers, but the way those tart cherries work, the way the wood works, the way the bugs and the bits and the pieces and the yeastiness of the beer kind of makes it be a undulating wave of experience. Time has something to do with that too. Again, I'm kind of bummed I can't find a date on here. I figured maybe if I drank it, something might pop up on the bottle. It's probably staring me right in the freaking face. I just don't see anything. If anything, it's down here in the bottom because I don't see anything now that I can see through the glass. I don't see any kind of marker. But I got a little bit of a marker ring on there. You're probably not going to be able to see that. Maybe if I do that with the... You can see the marker ring there. So it has some time on it, and that's tempered a bit of things. So, but it's just the way the beer is constructed and how it is. It's just this soft, like non-skipping, undulating, very gentle ride back and forth between that caramel, between those cherries, between the tartness, between the beer itself. It just reminds you and makes you remember why these breweries are so freaking important, you know? And their beers, you know, the Track series is some of the best barrel-aged beers in the world. Serpent Stout, one of the best stouts ever made. You know, everything. I mean, I think, you know, the best beer I had when I went to Festival of Farmhouse Ales up at Hill Farmstead when everybody's waiting in line for Dre Fontaine and Hill and stuff. I kept going back to, you know, actually it was as a tag team going from Russian River to Lost Abbey, having their beers and just, you know, the stuff that they've made over the years and that have become kind of tentpole, kind of like Mount Rushmore-y stuff for me. It's just it's just a bummer, man, to see breweries like that just kind of, it's kind of, go by the. I'm not calling them dead. Obviously, they're doing what they need to do to survive, but to see them not exist and to explode is just sad, because there are, there's been a lot of brewery closings as of late. Not to turn this into a non-beer review, but there have been a lot of breweries, more specifically a lot in Pennsylvania. I've noticed a ton have closed, but they've all been like, people that have tried to open a brewery because beer was popular, or they, it wasn't for the right reasons. They were just trying to, oh, beer, look at all these people making beer and making a ton of money. I'll open a brewery. Those are the places that typically close, not the lost Abbeys of the world. And again, not that they're closing, not to shovel the dirt right on top of them before they're even close to that. But it just is a bummer, because you have such pretty beers and such well-constructed, such, complex and just awesome beers like this, and know that there is a possibility that, one, I'm not going to be able to get them because, you take your production, you cut it in half, I might not be seeing these on my shelves. But two, the chance that they might not really all exist all that much longer is just a bummerooski of the most bummeroostic of proportions. Anyway, back to the beer. Delicious. Delicious. I'm going to take this and go sit on my couch and watch old TV, relax. It's Friday night. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up extra early and take my son, as I do every Saturday morning, and take him away so my mama can sleep, and hang out with him. It's sort of a great weekend, and there's a good lead into it. So yeah, absolutely fantastic beer. Just that marriage, exactly what I wanted from a Flanders too. That's that cool kind of heavy dose of wood, and the way the cherry show and the whole nine. I'm regurgitating everything, but it very, very tasty. And this isn't one of the better Flanders I've had. Is right. Yes, Mount Rushmore status in first face of the mountain. And just say Lost Abbey. Love y'all. Love your beers. Can't wait to drink more of them. Don't go nowhere. Anybody out there, have you been to Lost Abbey? Have you had their beers? If you haven't, that's kind of weird if you're watching a beer tube guy talk about beer. What's your favorite beer from Lost Abbey? Like I said, have you been to the brewery? How was that? Have you had this beer? Have you had this beer lately? All that fun stuff. Let's talk about it down there. Go buy yourself some Lost Abbey. Let's do that. Let's give them a couple bucks, a couple 2 tree, and keep the good breweries going. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review / soapbox. Hopefully you're enjoying the Flanders right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.